Don't run in the lion's den. Don't stick your hand in the cage, right? That is danger.
You will get bitten.
Yes, you will. And he got bitten.
Got groove, he's got meaning.
It was like he was playing 3 positions, Reece James.
This is the chance where we get to be told you so exposed.
What Caicedo does is just he sniffs danger.
Well, 1.5 billion quid does actually get you quality after all these.
It's remarkable that, isn't it? Yeah. Every team needs an Enzo Fernandez.
Chelsea moved level on points with their bitter rivals Tottenham Hotspur as they went up to North London. Smash and grab 1-0 win. Joao Pedro, 3 points. Thank you very much. I'm Will Pugh. That right there is Sun Sports tactical guru Dean Scoggins. He does support Tottenham, but he's promised not to let that cloud his judgment on today's episode of Tactics Exposed, where Dino, as always, you have got 5 tactical points from the game that fans may or may not have noticed.
Yes, I'm not be sarcastic, but I really enjoyed doing the great tactical analysis. But look, credit to Maresca. I'm not going to talk so much about Thomas Frank here. I'm going to talk about the positives for Chelsea. Number 1, Muy Bien, the biggest positive, obviously, Moises Caicedo. They call him the octopus, but it was the trident midfield that I was most interested in and how that did for Spurs. Number 2, Reece is the word. Someone who's not getting as much praise as they probably should and are playing 3 positions in 1, Reece James. Number 3, game of throws. You know I'm going to enjoy this one, and a point and a flashback to our Team Talk episode. Number 4, Joao about that. We talked about him being a number 9, a number 10. Got the goal, but he did a lot more than that as well. And number 5, the tactical genius that is Enzo Fernandez, and how did he end up there?
Absolutely, Dino. And the other Enzo Maresca, been getting a bit of grief recently. You very much feel that he sort of came to the fore and out-tacticked Thomas Frank? Yeah,
very much so. I joked a few times in a couple of WhatsApp groups and called him Diet Pep in the last few weeks, which, to be fair, this week he really showed a difference. And it wasn't the box midfield. It wasn't the slow build-up of Chelsea that we've seen them struggle against low blocks in previous weeks. It was an all-out brave press, which was really, really impressive.
Some people getting at you in the comments, Dino, actually saying, look, you know, Enzo Maresca gets a bit of an unfair sort of load of stick, saying that how rigid he is with the box midfield. It was nice to see him flex. But let's move straight in to number 1, Dino. Moises Caicedo, the man of the moment, very much flavour of the month. Some people calling him the best midfielder on the planet at the moment, certainly in the Premier League, alongside Declan Rice. He was absolutely brilliant in this game and a key role in Chelsea's goal.
Yeah, I reckon that Bentancur, Polinia and Javi Simons were probably looking over their shoulders when they got home, wondering if Caicedo was going to creep up behind them again, to be honest. And yeah, the goal. Let's start with the goal, because it was the obviously key moment in the game, although Chelsea dominated and should have scored more than they did. But to me, it's this, when you're giving the tactics as a coach or a manager, the holding midfield player needs a licence to go. And to give him the licence to go, what Enzo Maresca has done is pick a specific shape in midfield, where we'll come back to that in a moment. But what Caicedo does is just he sniffs danger. He sniffs it out. First of all, I don't know what Jed Spence is doing running into an area that is Moises Caicedo's domain, okay? Like, don't run in the lion's den. Don't stick your hand in the cage, right? That is going to cause danger.
You will get bitten.
Yes, you will. And he got bitten. But then even from there, from the grab, we'll see, how do Spurs concede from there? Where Javi Simons has got a simple pass back to Mickey van der Ven. Mickey van der Ven's got a simple clearance to make. And for some reason, they make a hash of it. But let's not take the credit away from that man Caicedo, because, as I say, he sniffs it and he goes. Wins the first one, wins the second one, wins the third one, where 6'3" Kevin Danzo decides he doesn't want to make a tackle inside the area. But again, full credit to Caicedo and a brilliant finish from Joao Pedro. But, OK, let's talk about the shape, all right? I think I've taken the earliest grab, or I've asked our researcher to take the earliest grab that I've ever asked for in a game. And it was 7, 8, 9 seconds into the match. And straight away I went, new shape for Chelsea. And it was a W shape, a trident, if you like, in midfield, where they have 2 midfielders at the base, Caicedo and Reece James, Enzo Fernandez ahead of that, and then the 2 wingers wide. And then obviously you've got Joao Pedro floating in between. But that W shape, and as I say, which was just flooded across Spurs, meant that Caicedo or Reece James at any one time can release the press.
Right.
So then, because you've got cover. So that's what I mean by Maresca giving them the licence. In the Premier League, if a midfielder runs around like a headless chicken and goes and presses the ball all over the place, it's an easy bounce past 1-2 in behind them. But with that W shape, if the ball goes this way, the left-hand point at the base of that can go and join the other three on the press, and the other one drops in behind. Goes the other way, exactly the same thing. So they can go in those positions, and when you press like this guy, and Reece James to be fair, then that's going to cause all sorts of problems.
Yeah, very interesting, by the way, Dino, to see Reece James playing as a holding midfielder rather than that inverted fullback as Chelsea and Maresca have been doing. Is that similar, the press you're describing just then, as kind of like the double press, the second man press that you have described previously, I think, about Arsenal?
It's a little bit similar, yeah. We've done it with Arsenal and we've done it with Newcastle as well, where obviously the ball perhaps goes long or direct, and then the second ball chase, and then if the other team wins it back, they drop off. And then, as you say, Arsenal do it where they goad you into an area, and then as you have to play a quick pass out of that area, you're going for the second ball on the second press. But Chelsea's is a bit more sort of, I would say, a bit more chaotic. But what it means is that you always got the shape that you want to end up with out of possession. So because you can release one of them out of it, and it just meant that wherever they were on the field, Spurs were swarmed by that W. There was one moment where the ball bounces up, and there are three Tottenham players. This is very early in the game as well. Three Tottenham players around, and the ball bounces up, and then by the time the ball bounces again, there are four Chelsea players get there before the Tottenham players do, and that's because of that shape in there. So when you've got, as I say, that guy doing it and that setup, it was very, very clever. And you mentioned the fullbacks there, and that was quite key. The average positions of Chelsea were very much with normal fullback positions.
Yeah, traditional.
Traditional is a much better word, thanks. And they didn't invert as much. There were times where Malo Gusto went into a more forward position, like an attacking 10, but then Cucurella had Kudus on his mind, so he just dealt with Kudus. And I mean, did Kudus touch it? I'm not quite sure.
Does he need dealing with? Well, best player in the world according to most Tottenham fans.
Don't you start? You'll go viral on Twitter again. But yeah, so it was just a set shape, and then from the set shape, go after Spurs, go after the ball, because you are allowed to leave your post because somebody else will fill it for you.
So just very quickly then, Dino, if that W shape or that trident midfield that you're talking about, if the purpose of that, by the sounds of it, is to just swamp Tottenham when they've got the ball with the press, what are the sort of differences between that and the box midfield, maybe with the ball, that Chelsea or Maresca would have to consider?
Yeah, with the box midfield, it's much more, if you go in that area, we're going to outnumber you in that area, and also he uses the box to play out from as well, with obviously the striker dropping in between, as we did Nicholas Jackson last season coming in that hole, and Joao Pedro still
and
did
Cole
that.
will normally.
Yeah, absolutely. But they identified that Spurs are struggling to play out. I also think that this plan was based on the fact that Spurs may play 5 at the back. And actually what ended up happening was Spurs basically had 6 at the back, because there was so much pressure in midfield that João Pedro and Rodrigo Bentancur dropped back in almost level with the centre-backs. Then you've got the full-backs, and Chelsea are just in front going, wherever you play it, we're going to hit you.
Great stuff, Dino. Let's move on to point number 2. Is this a singing one? Reece is the word.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, I didn't know whether you're old enough for Reece.
Yeah, what's it? Is it?
Well, he had everything in this game, so I don't know about that. So this was the other thing, was that Moises Caicedo deserves most of the plaudits, but should not go unnoticed the role of this guy in there, because captain's performance as well. And I was surprised when I saw the team sheet, because I didn't expect that. Lavia on the bench, and then potentially him playing him. I would have thought he would have been the right back who then inverted. But yeah, he went with Gusto at right back. But what it also meant was, without going overboard too much, I thought it was like he was playing 3 positions, Reece James. When Chelsea had the ball and Spurs dropped into their sort of mid-block shape, then Reece James dropped into the back 4, which meant one of the Chelsea back 4 went across to right back, and I think that's Fofana, and then Chalobah's to his left, and then you've got Reece James just sitting in between. So from playing out, you're using his ball-playing ability,
right,
and you're looking for the pass in between the lines. And then Spurs get the ball back to their goalkeeper, as they did a lot, because they just passed it backwards the whole game. Then it goes into Vicario, and from there, he's pressing Bentancur almost in a striker's position. And then, as I say, they drop into their W shape in midfield, and he's next to Caicedo at the base. So 3 positions in one. And what that meant was that because the Chelsea back 3, as it often meant, because you've got Gusto pushing forward, but you've got Cucurella and the 2 centre-backs, it meant that Spurs' wide men were kind of like, what do we do here? So Xavi Simons sort of to the left of Spurs' midfield and Kudus sort of to the right, ended up coming inside and just playing into that Chelsea press all over again. So again, two very, very clever things from Enzo Maresca, but you've got to have the ability to be able to do that. And do you know what as well? I know he's had his fitness issues over the years, Reece James, but I mean, he looked an absolute powerhouse in that game. I thought after about 35 minutes, there's no way he's going to last the 90. He was fantastic, and let's hope we see more of that in an England shirt, whatever position he plays in.
Is that an option, or obviously it's an option, but is that the sort of thing you expect to see Maresca utilising a little bit more, or do you think that was just for that game and that he's likely to sort of revert back to the box midfield and maybe then Reece James goes back to full back and he's inverting again?
Well, I just think it's a really promising blueprint for Enzo Maresca for going forward, that he's got that box shape and now he's got this W shape, and now he can use these players in much more flexible ways. Look, they've got an unbelievable squad, haven't they? Let's not forget that. I mean, I'm sure most people would class Reece James as a 80 to 100 million pound player, and they've also spent 100 million pounds on the other 2 midfielders who are in there with him. So, a 300 million pound midfield. But look, they've got a great squad, but they've now got players who can be a bit more flexible. When they get Delap back, and we'll move on to Joao Pedro in a moment, and then they've got midfielders who can be flexible, defenders who can be flexible. It means that tactical blueprint can be tweaked in each game.
Yeah, absolutely brilliant stuff, Dino. Let's move on to point number 3. Now, this is the chance where we get to be told you so exposed, or you do in particular. Yeah. Game of Throws.
I love this. I was so happy.
Game of Throws is point number 3. Here is a clip, Dino, from last week's Team Talk preview show, and this is what you said that Chelsea should do.
What if a team did that? Okay, I've got to go.
Yep.
He's got to cover. Right, all right, let's push another one up. Oh, hang on. I've got to go. I've got to cover. Let's push another one here. Oh, hang on. I've got to go. And you end up like that. And then all of a sudden, you got 6v4.
Go on.
Well, I want to say thanks to Frank in the comments, who first of all said that he thought Enzo Maresca must have watched the show and then copied it. So maybe he did, who knows? But that would be an ultimate compliment, wouldn't it? But yeah, look, it was just one of these things that we know set pieces are big, really big at the moment, including the throw-ins. We know Kevin Danzo's got a great throw. And you know what? I do it in youth football. I do that to try and empty the area in youth football, because I just feel like it's easier for your dominant headers to head the ball then, because there's more room to attack the ball. And that's what Chelsea did. And there's it was when it happened, I think I WhatsApped you straight away, or I WhatsApped the group going, look. Yeah, no, I know you're all new. But
see, he even does told you so to us in the Tactics Exposed WhatsApp chat as well. Go on, Dino.
Yeah, but I mean, it was just really clever. So let's just recap that they sent 3 players up the field, and I actually thought Spurs were quite brave in response to it, in only taking 3 back, because I thought you'd have to take at least 4 back, maybe even 5, which empties the box even more. But Spurs put 3 back, and then when Sanchez caught one of them, and then they went on the counter-attack, that was great fun for 30 seconds, as nobody knew what position they were playing in or whatever, and it was absolute chaos. But yeah, it was just a really great example of a coach thinking outside the box, outside of Chelsea's box again, and doing something different, which meant that not only did it help them defend it better, it then confused Tottenham, and it caused a problem on the counter-attack. So win-win-win. Great stuff.
Do you expect to see more teams adopting that against Tottenham, or is it only a team like Chelsea who've got some severe talent in their squad who will be brave enough, or who can afford to be brave enough to do that?
I think quite a few might do it now, and I think you've got Bournemouth, for example. I was half expecting Bournemouth to do it against Manchester City, because if you leave Semenya up, for example, or Cliver up, then you're going to think, oh my God, the pace going the other way. So that's the key to it, is that you're worried about the direct pass and the pace over the top, and we know how good these goalkeepers are now. We saw Nick Pope's amazing bowl out the other week, where they were through on goal. I think it was Harvey Barnes who scored. So, those type of things. We need something to stop these games just becoming set-piece fests. And if that's a great example of a manager trying to think and change that, I'm all for it. Bring it on.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, point number 4, Dino. Joao about that then. Joao Pedro, obviously, with the winning goal. And another thing we discussed at length in the Team Talk show on Thursday was whether he should play as a number 9 or a number 10. Thanks to whoever asked that question in the comments, of course. Make sure you get your comments in if you've got anything to ask for this Thursday's Team Talk show. But, Dino, were you sort of surprised? Did you expect to see what you saw? And obviously scores the winning goal, so no one probably from a Chelsea persuasion will be too worried.
No, I think they should be slightly concerned that he needs to take more chances, because there was, 2 very gilt-edged chances. One that he sort of made himself, and the other one from the brilliant press again. And obviously the goal came from the amazing press as well. But in open play, I thought he was excellent. Really, really good. And that's where, if the lap comes back, how do they potentially try and squeeze both of these two in? But the tactical thing that they did to allow him to do his great work in that semicircle that I talked about in Team Talk as well, around, in a more number 10 position, was that sometimes Malo Gusto went to stretch the Tottenham defence. He went forwards between Van de Ven and Jed Spence, which meant that as a centre-back, you're thinking, I can't go in with the centre-forward. So then he goes into feet. And Enzo Fernandez and Garnacho opened up the space in front so he could drop into it in that area as well. And like loads of times I'm watching it in, as the way I do. And unfortunately, from my Spurs point of view, having to watch it again and again afterwards to get you ready for the show. But he goes like this. And he puts his hand out and he wants the ball to feet, but he's not just standing stationary when he wants the ball to feet. He's almost telling you, I want it in that little space there. And then they play it into that space and he takes it on the run. So a bit like Bukayo Saka does off the wing, but he does that in that little pocket of space. So it was really good. But as I say, Garnacho helped him by stretching it one way. Malo Gusto helps him by stretching it the other. And then, because I think Chelsea identified that Jed Spence makes so many cover tackles along with Mickey van de Ven, Pedro Neto holds that wing on the right-hand side to keep Spence out of the way. So all round, they're helping him out. But it was a good performance, I thought.
It really, really was, Dino, to be fair. Were you surprised, though, or did you see anything different to what you were expecting?
I didn't particularly know. I think that I just thought he was as all action as the others were, and I think there were some questions about whether he was going to be that combative when he came up from Brighton, and whether he could do that role for Chelsea. As I say, I'd love to see Liam Delap and him in the team, and maybe that Reece James flexible midfield position, meaning that out of possession, Joao Pedro drops in to the W shape, might mean that they can do that and get him on the field together. But look, he's another quality player that they've got.
Yet another one. Well, 1.5 billion quid does actually get you quality after all these.
It's remarkable that, isn't it? Yeah.
Right, point number 5, Dino. How did he end up there then? Enzo Fernandez this time, not Maresca. He's a player we've covered quite a lot on Tactics Exposed and Team Talk over the past sort of season and a half, something like that. Because not only do Chelsea fans absolutely love him, he's got a bit of a cult following among Blues fans already, but you are very impressed with his tactical maturity and what a weapon he is from a tactical point of view for any Chelsea manager at any time.
Yeah, he's a complete tactical diamond, and it's the Bernardo Silva at Manchester City. He's the player that makes them tick in a shape sense. So if they get dragged about, as you do in a Premier League game, and then you think, oh, there's an overload that side, he appears. It's like he's got back there he's seen the danger that's broken down. So he's got that ability almost to lift himself above everybody and see where the danger is. And look,
it's tactical god.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like, it's very difficult, or very easy, when you're sat where I sit in the stadium to look over the top and have a much more bird's eye view of what's going on. And you think, oh, there's a mistake to be had there. There's a mistake in position there. If they get it out of there, they can hurt them. He spots it, fills in the gap. And then not only that, when they're attacking, we talked about the crossing over of Chelsea in the Team Talk show, which they did very, very well, Garnacho and him especially. But he'll then find himself in like the left striker position. And then as a centre-back, you're thinking, the striker's over there. How have I got someone to pick up here as well? And he's the one that gets in those positions, in between defenders, which give you a real problem. Because if the ball then goes wide, let's say to Cucurella and then to Garnacho, the fullback should be thinking, I can go and press. But hang on a minute. I've got Enzo Fernandez standing next to me. So he's causing those problems all over the field. And look, yes, maybe at times he doesn't do as much on the ball as some Chelsea fans would like. I thought one of the moments of the game was the nutmeg inside the area in the first half, by the way. But without him, I don't think Maresca can do the tactical things that he's been doing. And, I just think that every team needs an Enzo Fernandez.